Now we're going into the other side of the jacket, and I did speed up the video here as well because basically we're doing the same thing that we did on the right side of the jacket. So drawing these lines again, and this is basically what the texturing of Jack is going to come down to, is just drawing these lines. So find a way, a comfortable way to do them, and again I'm just trying to make these lines appear a bit interesting, and also to follow the geometry nicely, so that they're looking nicely on the model, that you don't have some breakings of the lines, and just try to follow the underlining geometry and make it as interesting as you can. Here I decided to also add a few more lines on the other side of the jacket, to a few thinner lines, to make it a bit more thicker. And yeah, just go through this and create these nice, interesting lines for the jacket. And it's also useful to just see how it looks on the black background. That's gonna, give your eye an opportunity to discover maybe some other areas where you need to add a few more lines. And once you do that, save it, go under Image Editor and reload or replace, depending on whether you saved it as a different file or just saved over the old image. And here I see this, space that I want to fill up. It's on the edges. And I'm going back here and going to squeeze in a line here also. So just draw your texture, see how it fits on your model, and make small adjustments and changes accordingly. And yeah, happy with that. Next thing that we're going to do is Jack color. So again, I'm just checking out how this geometry in the UV map relates to our model, just to see where things are and how those polygons are flowing on the model. And kind of highlighting those edges, so I know the edges of the color, where they are in the UV map. And I'm going to save it like this, highlight it, and of course save your Photoshop file for the jacket body. And I paste it there. They won't want to open another file. I am going to save it as another file, but just for the practicality of it. So I selected again our space, copy-pasted it just to get that in the selection. And now we have it in our layer 6. We have the UV map. Just a small adjustment to fill up the whole screen. And of course, these two layers we can delete. And we can also delete a UV map. I'm going to save this as Jack Color version 001. And again, the same process applies here. Just kind of searching for the line thickness. Now we're not necessarily going to use the same line thickness, because here we have a bigger UV map space for a smaller part of the model. So these might be too thick or too thin. So I just drawn a few all over the UV map just to see how it looks when we apply it to the model. And the same process here, going into the surface editor and adding our color map to the model, and just checking out that these lines are, basically the same thickness. Some are a little bit thicker, but all in all, like the general look. So activating the UV map, so we know where to draw the lines, and yeah, basically the same process applies here as we did for the jacket body. Not much to say there. Kind of filling it up equally. So I'm getting the feel for the whole section. And yeah, you don't want them to be all the same thickness. Some should be a little thicker. Some should be a little thinner. And add a few of these crossings, just to make things a bit more interesting. And once you're happy with what you have, just go and load it in Modeler. And wanted to extend a few of those here. And this method of just going into image editor and replacing your image really makes it kind of quick for us to make changes, apply those changes, and see those changes, how they look on the model. Hiding the arms just to get a better view of what we have. And yeah, that is looking pretty good. So I'm just going to save our jacket color and go to the left arm. The same process applies here. I'm selecting everything that's in the UV map and just naming it left arm. So there I added that line of polygons as well to the left arm surface. And print screen, paste in Photoshop. And for this texture, I wanted to increase the texture size. It's kind of a bigger area. The left arm is bigger than it takes a bigger part of our render space, of our rendered image, and I wanted it to be a bit bigger in resolution. And also we can see here that arm, our UV texture really takes a small part of the whole UV space. And that also forces us to make it bigger. And these are still, not huge sizes. 1,000 and so pixels, 2,000 pixels. That's not much. And especially since these are JPEGs, they're not going to take up that much memory. So we can definitely afford that. But in case you can't, it really isn't the end of the world. And yeah, going through the same thing here as well, drawing a few test lines just to see the thickness, how thick these are going to be in our model. And loading that image in our surface. Make sure your projection is on UV map, on UV, and your UV map is the right one. So for this one, it's the left arm, and these are, yeah, pretty good. And now it's just a matter of making these lines into a nice pattern. And I lowered the opacity of our UV map here to get a better contrast between our lines and the image of the UV map, to have a better view of the lines that I'm drawing. It was a little bit hectic, so that's also a good trick for you to do. And yeah, checking out what we have. And I'm just looking at, I see a few spots where I could use a bit more lines. And at the end of the sleeve, I kind of left that to go, to finish naturally. I didn't want it to be cut off. So that's something you might also want to do. And a quick reload allows us to see if we're getting the results we wanted. Still kind of felt a little bit empty in a few spots. And it's back and forth process. Now that's fairly easy and quickly to do. And I wanted to maybe add in this upper part of the sleeve as well a few more lines. Checking out the reference image, and I wanted to try to end these lines as well on the upper part as we did on the lower part of the arm. For them to end naturally, not just to be, kind of cut off. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. Just allowing them to finish naturally. And time to see how that looks in the model. And yeah, it's looking a lot better. And in fact, I like it so much, I want to do the same thing with the jacket body, where the jacket body meets the arm texture. Now originally I had this in 2 layers when I was drawing this, because I wanted to have the ability to make some of the lines brighter, some of the lines darker. And so you can see here that I have like a few layers, in fact 2 layers of these lines. But at the end I didn't go through with that plan, with that idea. After seeing a few reference images of Jack, I decided just to keep all of these the same brightness, all of the lines. And later on in texturing, we'll be adding a few layers of discoloration just to break up those lines a little bit more. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Right now, I'm just checking out what we have here. And as I was looking at this, I did notice that this gap is a bit too big for my taste. So I went back into Photoshop, and here you see me merging these two layers together. And I wanted to draw these lines as close as I could to the border line without crossing it. Hoping that this would, it would of course make that area, make those lines meet closer in that area. And doing the same thing with the sleeve texture here as well. So just kind of pushing these lines all the way to the very edge of the polygon, but not crossing it, so that they don't get cut. And we can see here, how this area is, the lines are not so far apart. And yeah, that is looking pretty good. Now all that's left for the arms area, of course, is to create the other sleeve. And you can try to cut corners and just mirror this. And certainly I'm not against cutting corners, but I just wanted to avoid that mirrored, copied look that you're running into risk of creating. So I did decide to create this texture from scratch. And same process of preparation here as we had for the other textures. And just go for it. Yeah, not much to really say here. Just kind of, again, trying to get as interesting look as I can for these lines. And going into Modeler, checking out what we have and making small tweaks and small adjustments. And what happened here, I want to make a few more changes on the left arm. And when I load left arm version 001 PSD, I noticed that I didn't save the last iteration, the last thing we did, adding all of these lines. So I loaded the left arm JPEG into this PSD, and here you can just see me testing out. If I needed them in a separate layer, I could just go under select and select by color. And then you can easily select these and put them in another layer as well. So you would have them in a separate layer again. But it wasn't really necessary. Didn't bother me so much that the white lines are now fused with the black background. Because I, loaded this JPEG here. What I wanted to do on the left arm texture is something that I got on the right arm. And that is these lines not going all the way to the end of the sleeve. I liked how that looked, and as you can see on our reference image, also the lines, on Jack's sleeve, they don't go all the way to the end of the arm. You have like a little bit of a black space there. And yeah, once I did that, make sure that this time I saved my work. And of course save the JPEG so we can load it here, and went into replace, not reload, because I saved it as another iteration. As you can see there, our sleeve just got a bit nicer. So after I loaded the texture for the right arm as well, I was really happy with what we had. Just checking out, and yeah, looking pretty good. A perfect spot to save our work. And in the next session,
we are going to wrap up texturing of Jack.